Hi, I'm Andrew Spieler.
And I'm Mary Hope Rennie.
And you're watching or listening to Behind the Sign, Real Stories from Real Estate. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 44 of Behind the Sign. This is our final episode of the season. 44 consecutive episodes every week, Monday at 1. Thank you to those of you who have been watching all of them. Jim Harvey, I'm looking at you. And we're really excited for next year. So we're going to be taking a little break coming up around the holidays here, but we figured to send us off into the holiday break. We would start our rotation and begin with our first ever second returning guest, who is a very special guest.
What an honor.
Mr. Bill Weidacher is with us. So welcome, Bill. Welcome back.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming back.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I know you usually kick it off to you, Mary Hope, but
No, that's great. I don't have to introduce him.
That's right.
No need for introduction here.
I don't know exactly what I said the first time, and hopefully whatever I say today is not a contradiction.
Well, you know, actually, what a lot of people have said, because a lot of people watched that episode, and a lot of people were like, "I didn't know Bill went to school for cooking," right? And then they were like, you know, they brought it up a number of times. So I think people got some insight into you on the first one, which was awesome.
As long as they didn't follow it up with, I didn't know that Bill went to school for cooking. His cooking's not that good.
Oh, right, yeah, I haven't heard that.
No, we haven't heard that part. Well, and I think the first one, we just kind of heard about your story and also why you started Keller Williams Metropolitan and kind of the whole thing there. And I think it'll be really neat to, as the last episode, to kind of look back at this year. This seems like, and it's good that you don't remember that. It does feel like a long time ago, a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
Well,
It was.
you know what? You guys deserve all the credit for doing this week after week after week. Success in anything is the repetition of the action, right?
Yep.
And to do it 44 consecutive weeks is impressive.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's been a lot.
Yeah, it's enjoyable, which
It
it
is.
makes it possible. You know?
Well, I think what is enjoyable is it's been such, I feel like it's a class for me on the psyche of a realtor, a successful agent, how and why agents succeed, why agents don't succeed, and what they would, looking back, what they would do. And I've gotten to know our agents in such a deeper way because we interact with each other so much, but just like you said, I didn't know he went to culinary school.
Right.
Those things make us who we are.
Sure.
And all we see is the finished product of what we see right now so much. And I think if we don't step back and look, even our agents, even us, if we don't step back and look at where we were, why we did it, and why we are here, I think our decisions moving forward might not be as clear if we don't take that time. And that's exactly what I want to do today is look back at this year as the operating partner. You look at the numbers of our market center, but not only that, for the state, and even the region. You're part of the National Association of REALTORS, the regional leadership, and even the nation, what you've seen, and so that we can look then forward. And I think that's just like we did for all these agents, looking back. So what do you see when you think of 2025, or what did you see or observe that kind of stood out for you?
So I saw this past year the beginnings of a return to a normal market.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If we look at the national numbers and we think that the sale of 6 million homes in 2021 was normal, that's not accurate.
Right.
You know, when really somewhere between 4.5 and maybe 5 million was kind of the norm on a nationwide perspective. We, for a lot of reasons, went into a really artificial market. We were already in a tight inventory market in 2019 and the beginnings of 2020. And then we went into this market where the government was so concerned about the effects of COVID-19 that they thought, we've got to jolt this economy. There was this huge spike in unemployment, everybody out of work, even us for a while. Mm-hmm. And so they lowered the Fed funds rate all the way to zero, which, you know, the 10-year Treasury notes predict where mortgage markets are going to be to some extent. They kind of mirror each other as they go up and down. Well, we were getting fixed rate mortgages at 2 3/4, 3%. Mm-hmm. Now that's not normal either.
That's not normal.
Just
No.
Never,
No.
in my 43 years, I'd never seen anything.
And I just learned this morning for the first time that part of the big reason why that happened was because everybody was so nervous about COVID that they took money out of the stocks and they were putting them into bonds because they were, a safer bet. And so when the bonds were just sort of overinflated, right, that's when they were like, oh, we got to bring that down. And so that had the big impact, right, on the mortgage rates as a result. Yeah.
So borrowing was the least expensive it had ever been, coupled with prices just going up to begin with because of the demand. Prices went up even further because of the lower interest rates. If rates had sort of stayed where they were, we still would have seen growth, but not. I'm going to suggest not to the level that we saw.
I agree. I agree.
So what we've come into now is more of a market where we're like, okay,
Coming down off the high.
we're coming into a normal market. For instance, one fifth. It doesn't sound like a big number, but it's a big number. 20% of the mortgagors out there, the people that have mortgages, are 6% or higher. 20%. Wow. Now, if you'd asked that same question 2 or 3 years ago, it might have been 5%.
Yeah.
So we're getting back to a point where people are more used to mortgage rates being in the 6s and potentially getting into the 5s.
Right.
That probably is going to be the coin of the realm in terms of the market being normal.
Yeah.
So I see the beginnings. What did I see for 2025? I saw the beginnings of a return to a normal market.
Yeah.
Inventory was up about 10% ahead of last year. So we're going to see somewhere around 13,000-ish, 14,000 listings come on the market this year. That's a good thing.
Yes.
Because it's up for 2 years in a row now, listing inventory is coming in on a more normal pace. That's going to continue.
Yeah.
We can save my predictions if you want. But so I saw a more normal market. I've seen agents in this company have the best years they've ever had.
Yep.
So in a normal market, you've got agents performing here, outperforming the market. And the reason that is first of all, we like to think that we arm them with all the tools and the education and the skill set and mindset to get out into the market and compete and win.
Yes.
Yep.
Because competing isn't just enough. You want to win your fair share, or in some cases, what people will call my unfair share. I always feel like if you win, that is your fair share.
Yeah, right. I was going to say. Yeah.
There's no such thing as unfair.
Well, and I think win and keep it together. That's where the skill base that I think those experienced agents that you're talking about, we didn't really need that because anything that went under contract closed because the rates were so low, there were no contingencies. And all of a sudden, the normalcy of the market we hadn't seen. And so now we're seeing that a lot of deals many more deals are falling through. And if you don't have that skill set, which I think, like you said, those who can figure that out are doing really well in this market.
Yeah, it's we are now back to kind of a normal market in terms of negotiations.
Yeah.
Post purchase agreement.
Yeah.
Through home inspections or other issues that might come up. So for those of us that have been around for a while, it feels very much like we're just like, oh yeah, I remember these days.
Just have to remember 5 years ago.
But we have to remember that there's, because of the fact that the real estate business is always in a state of attrition, turning over. There's people getting into the business and people getting out of the business. Because of that, there's a fair amount of the agent mix at our organization who are new that might not have experienced that. And so we like to think we're giving them the tools in time to be able to compete and get through what now is, the end of a transaction was usually when you found somebody a house and the purchase and sale agreement was acknowledged by everybody and agreed to.
Boom.
There was nothing else there was no mortgage contingency. There was no home inspection in a lot of cases. And they were just like, okay, we're closing in 4 weeks.
Right.
See you there.
Yeah.
Which I think was a disservice to our agents because they didn't need to develop skills around that.
But I'm going to tell you something. It feels that way now because now we need the skills that we didn't have, but we got the skills that we needed in the market that we were in.
Correct.
Speed.
You're absolutely right.
You've got to realize training for the future market is maybe helpful, but not 2 years in advance.
Correct.
Training for it where you go, I think this is where we're going. So we're, this idea that the market, we're entering into a shift. We're constantly shifting.
Yeah.
It's just that the shifts are not seismic in nature. They're subtle and gradual.
Yeah.
And then we can look at it and go, wow, suddenly here we are.
Right.
Well, we didn't get here suddenly. We got here gradually, unless there is something that creates a sudden change in the market. What did? COVID-19.
Right.
Right? COVID-19 changed the market
Changed it.
suddenly.
Yep.
And it went from being in the really early stages to like we're all out of business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And within a couple of weeks, like the happy days are here again. We're doing more transaction than we've ever done.
Yeah.
So, I think it's good to practice the skills when you need them.
Yeah.
And not too far in advance, because what if
Right.
it doesn't? What if it doesn't happen?
Well, and I think that is actually, as you're saying that, the expert agent is one that can shift in whatever market. Like you said, every market, even that shift was a shift. Those who couldn't handle the speed of it were not successful. If you were like, slow down, we need to take our time, you would lose all your deals. You couldn't win a deal in this market. If you weren't willing, I remember as an agent, and I loved pricing properties. That was, I felt like this made sense, and I could do it to the thousand. When in 08, 09, 2010, you needed to do it by, if you were off by 1,500, it wouldn't sell. Like it was, if it had a deck and it didn't have a deck, changed if the house would sell, if you didn't price it right. That's a little extreme, but I loved it. And I remember at the beginning of this huge turn up, and I would go in with all my data and say, this is where we need to price it. And they would say, no, we want to price at 50,000. I said, we can't. The numbers aren't there. And I would lose the deal. And guess what they would do? They would list it at 50,000 over, and guess what happened? They would sell it for that, because that was the market. And I didn't have enough.
And sell it for your suggested price originally, or
No, sell it for the higher price. Because at the beginning, the market was moving so fast up
Oh, I see.
that our
Yeah.
predictions of what closed, all the stuff
Yes.
that
Wasn't relevant.
it was no longer relevant. Now, thankfully, I figured that out pretty quickly, and then it ended up being my best year was 2020, I think. But that is what a skill set, and that's interesting. I've never been able to kind of articulate that in that way.
In our two things in our listology course that we teach here in the Market Center, we talk about market-based pricing, which is different than sold data pricing.
Right.
Because you're really the market of the moment is what is your direct competition? What are they doing right now?
Yeah.
Yes, it's helpful to know what's taken place immediately in the past, but
Right.
sometimes there isn't sufficient data.
No.
And you've got to kind of look at what does everything look like that's on the market today, and if we came on today, how would we compete?
Right.
And the other part is we had this discussion this morning on Morning Mindset, where we talked about the skill sets to have conversations with either our seller or our buyer
Yep.
when faced with home inspection negotiations. And it's two different conversations,
Absolutely.
but with a lot of common threads in there, which is, we are this kind of the shepherds of the transaction to try to help the parties come together and not blow apart.
Right.
And that is something that did not have to be trained to
Nope.
3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Right.
So I think the market for next year, to put a bow on this year, we're going to be up in sales,
Yeah.
both here in the Market Center and in the state. And I do see that based on the way our Market Center compensation is handled with our agents, that the agents that are experienced and productive, and they don't need to be both. They can be productive and not experienced. If they get into activity,
Yep.
they're generating income sufficient enough to blow through their caps. So we're seeing
Absolutely.
newer agents that are, hit their cap and now they're at 100%.
Right.
We've seen experienced agents that are doing the same thing. It comes down to this is very much, you might have said it before, it's based on your skills that you develop. It's a skills-based market.
But a continuously developing skill base.
Yeah.
That's what that's what I'm hearing is what was skilled last year might be not, like, if you are not continuously learning and learning the basics, but then also the market of the now, I think that's where the success is going to lie.
And there's two challenges out there. The first challenge is for those that have had some success over the years, whether you've been in it for 2 years or 3 years and you've had some success, or you've been at it for 20 or 30 and you've had success, is to not get swept up in the, I know that. I know what I know. I'm good.
Right.
I'm good. You might not be good. You
Right.
might be just good enough
Right.
to be second choice in a lot of the decisions that clients make.
Right.
Like, we liked you a lot and we chose them. So you always want to be sharpening the saw.
I love
You
it.
want to spend some time doing that. And so I say that, number one. And then the second part of it is for those that might be newer in the business, this is one of the foundational tools I learned early on is learn a little, do a little.
Yes.
Learn a little, do a little.
Yes.
If you're just learning a little, learning a little, learning a little, you haven't done anything.
Right.
Putting it
And
into practice.
you've got to get into practice. And so if you learn some things, you've got to go out and work with people. You got to go out and talk to people.
Well, and communication seems to be one of the things that we've talked about a lot with a lot of folks here, is that how to communicate with a client or a potential client about what you know and the value that you have to offer and the skills you do possess is kind of the whole game, right? Because you might have the skills, but if you can't communicate what you're capable of to others,
Or your value.
yeah,
right.
you're right. Then it's going to be a hard time for you, right, to be that first choice and not the second choice.
Yeah.
And it sounds like too. I forget who it was. We were talking about. It was like kind of early on as we were starting to see the shift, right?
Yeah.
Agents see it before the general public does. So there's a lag, right, between the general public sort of
Yes.
accepting that there is a shift going on, and it's up to the agents to try to educate the clients and say, look, yes, you may have gotten this home price last year, but you're not going to get it this year, and here's why. But do it in a way that doesn't seem like, well, they just don't want to list for what I want, so therefore I'm going to go with whatever agent just agrees to what I say,
Right.
right? And that's a hard thing to navigate
It's a
through communicating
communication
with each
skills.
other, right?
Yeah.
So
It's a good thing we have a communication class coming up that Bill's going to be running.
yeah.
Right? Fierce conversations.
Yeah.
Those are skill sets. There's so many different types of skill sets because you are running your own business that it's not just knowing how to sell a house. It's not just how to negotiate. It's all of these combined. But communication, like you said, if you don't have those skills of communication, you can have all the other skills and it might drop because you are not able to make that connection with another person. So same kind of thread, but a little bit different perspective. Looking back at 2025 within our market center, Metropolitan, not just from numbers, like you said, we always need to be sharpening our swords and looking back at what have we started, what are we doing. I would love to hear your perspective of where you see our market center. You've had it we celebrated 20 years. That's how we started
Yeah.
this.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's going to have to change. It's going to look different. It looks a little different than when you started 20 years ago, almost 21 years
Yep.
ago now. Where do you see the movement in our office and, and our agents and things like that?
Growth. If it's continual growth, if you look at the environment, take plants or trees or something in that realm. You're gardening something. Nature does not say to a tree, all right, you're half the height. Your potential of the species of your tree is stop growing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The nature tends to, given all of the outside forces that are put upon a tree, water, sunlight, nutrition, all of those things, cause a tree to grow to its full potential.
Right.
And so let's take the market center. If I look at this market center and I think, okay, we have reached number one status in just about every category
Perfect.
that matters.
Let's just stop.
And yet, if we were to stop working on growing and being better,
Yes.
we would start falling behind so subtly that we would still think we were ahead. And where I go with this is it's continual growth for a market center. And yet, I also have said this to people here in the office. The market center mimics those that have businesses that are small solopreneurs or teams.
Yep.
The market center takes actions to grow much like they
I
grow
agree.
or teams grow. And that's where I'm going with this is, what do I see for the future? I see growth. I see growth here at the market center because I think there's so much opportunity out there for agents to build a business here that is
Right.
far more meaningful in terms of having an impact on their lives long term. People miss the mark when they look at, well, what do I get if I go to this company, or what do I get if I go to that company? And I got news for you. A lot of them are somewhat the same in terms of their general
Yep.
comp packages.
Usually evens up.
Costs the same amount to put on the electric lights here at the office. It costs the same amount for heat. Property taxes are the same.
be about the
Expenses
same.
are about the same.
Right.
So how you figure out the calculus in and around agent comp is going to be somewhat similar. Now, I will grant you, there are some that are wildly out of competition. They're not even close to being competitive. We always have been. As a matter of fact, I think we've been the torchbearer.
Yeah.
Where I'm going with this, it isn't what you get so much as what you become.
Yes.
What you get out of it.
What do you turn into? What does your life look like as a result of what you've learned?
Yes.
We choose to build our agents so that they are interdependent. We rely on them, they rely on us, but we don't rely on each other to the point where it's unhealthy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I look at it this way. Any of our agents can get up and leave. They wake up this morning and they think, is Keller Williams Metropolitan a good place to be? Right?
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Oh, unlike some other companies who basically have people to sign to contracts, or they, like, if you leave, you lose all your deals.
Right.
There's all kinds of wacky things out there. And we are of the point of mind that we say we believe we're the best deal on the beach for a lot of reasons, both holistically and financially. That if you choose to leave, we're not going to treat you any differently. That,
No.
to me, here's what it says. The whole relationship was only about money. Because the moment you leave, we're going to keep more of your money, or we're going to change the way we treat you. Right?
Absolutely.
So where I'm going with this is I see room for growth because there are more and more agents that say I can go there and build a really great business. So I see the opportunity in the market center, and I also see the opportunity for our agents that are
Absolutely.
I believe we will leapfrog over where we are now. We don't have competition to leapfrog over. We have only ourselves.
You are so right. And in the consultations I'm having with the agents, and I'm sure you are too, when we're, so much of our time is consulting with our agents who have hit a ceiling. They might not even know they hit a ceiling, but they might be doing
Most don't.
Most don't. And they're doing pretty good, right? Once they figure this out, and yet they know there's something bigger. Like you said, becoming something. We've given them the confidence that you can make big businesses here. And they've probably already made more money than they have ever in their lives, right? Everybody says that $100,000 mark. That's not the craziest thing to be able to do now in our real estate market. That's about 10 deals. Less than 10 deals.
Less.
Right. Less than 10 deals. That doesn't minimize the 10 deals. I know it takes a lot for people to get there. But once you get there, you figure it out. As humans, we want to always be growing. That is like innate in us. And so when we stay there, there's something unsettling about that. And the consultations I'm having, and I think you're probably having that you're talking about, is now what? And if you don't have somebody to walk you through how to grow, because our regular abilities can get us to sell 10 houses. If we have if there's enough systems, we can train you to do that. Yet, okay, now what do we want our lives to look like? That's a whole different story. And to be able to, and I'm hearing a lot of agents wanting to leverage, which means they might be solo agents that are doing really well, but they're at the max. They might have hired an admin. If not, we're talking to them and consulting them how to hire an admin. Now they want to give back to other people and help them grow. That's the conversations I'm having.
So part of the consult phase of business building is showing people what leverage looks like.
Yes.
You know, even in the early stages of our company here, the Market Center will mirror what running a business should look like for an agent that's either starting as a solopreneur or as a small team and going to be a bigger team. And that is leverage. Oftentimes when you're just starting out and you think, well, I know I need leverage. Well, maybe you don't just yet. The first thing I would do from a business perspective is say, have somebody handle the coordination of your transaction the moment you get your transactions under agreement. That should be your first form of internal business leverage, in my opinion.
Yep.
Now, if you've got young people in your family, you can push them into indentured servants.
I was going to say, I don't know if
You want to eat?
we push child labor here.
Well, but you know what you do is you back when I started in the business, you said, all right, you're going to stuff all of these envelopes. I'm going to write you a check.
And you're going to
I would have them place their childlike scrawl on the back of the check, and I would deposit it into an account. You get my point. But internal leverage is one thing, but also sometimes people miss the mark where they go, I'm raking all the leaves. I'm mowing the lawn. I'm doing the house cleaning. Now, if you love that stuff and it's your zen, then keep doing it. But if you hate that stuff, you can find home leverage. You can find somebody in the neighborhood that mows lawns, for in high school that you can
get your time.
Find those things to give you some time back. That's what we're doing.
Well, and that's what I
the
think.
book, right? Buy your time back.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, and
Dan Martell.
Yep.
I think that's where I love seeing agents' worlds just expand so big when they realize they can design a life worth having. And it's not just, they've been so used to jobs that it's this and only this, and you can't leverage anything. And this is just how life is. And I feel like I agree with you. I think this coming year, there's going to be so many agents, if they plug into the right and reach out for help and say, this is what we need, or I'm ready. I'm excited that I think we will see several larger teams grow next year.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see agents who are really working so hard be able to have a life outside of real estate because they learned to leverage. And I also see them being able to, like you said, almost bring their family in. That's what we did. My whole family, most of my whole team is my family. It really changes your lives. And I think this next market, if you do it with people, if you don't, and you're trying to do it on your own, you're going to really stumble through this. And that's my fear, is those who do not plug in.
Well, but let's not lose sight of the fact that there are agents that say, you know what, because if in fact generating 100,000 in GCI is something that's a goal of yours, and you have the reason why to do it, and you say, if I generate this, it's going to be enough for me.
Yeah.
My goal is this. You don't necessarily need to push yourself to double that goal.
No.
If there's a strong enough reason why that's the number you want to hit and gives you the amount of hours, I would say go for that.
Absolutely.
And meaning, don't ever miss the message that you go, well, if I'm going to be at Keller Williams, then I've got to have 10 buyer agents and I've got to have all of this staff. Absolutely not. You don't have to. You can be a single agent. I would suggest that you are a single agent with a transaction,
Minimally, yeah, I agree.
and then maybe another administrative person, because you can do 40 transactions
Absolutely.
with just administrative help quite easily.
Quite easily. Yep.
Take it for I did.
Yep.
So
I did too.
I'm not. Yeah, we're
I
not
did.
speaking from
No
theory here.
and I think that's what is the beauty of real estate, but I think also the complexity of real estate. Like, you can create the business for you, but we kind of try to just mimic everybody else and think, well, that's the way to do it. We've done that with our interviews here. All the agents have such diverse businesses that allow them to do what they love. And that's the thing. If 100,000 or 50,000 gives you a life that you love, that's what we're here for. Yeah. And I think that's where I think we get into that grind of the next step. But anyway, I really feel like if we can pour into the agents in that way, then it's worth it.
If someone's doing 50 in GCI, I would challenge them to want to do more. And I know you would too, because the difference between 50 and 100 is it changes your outlook.
Yes.
But it also, if you're making 100 and you choose to do 150, that extra 50,000, you say, well, I don't really need it. What do you know your needs are beyond today?
Correct.
We see all the time, whether it's family members or in the news, somebody gets something out of the blue, everything's going just fine, and then there's a health scare.
Yes.
And there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds or millions of dollars in medical bills.
Yep.
So, or it could just be a family member that's distant enough to not call upon you for help, but you're able to help because you go, I've got extra.
I'm able to.
Because of the life I've chosen to live and the business I've chosen to build, that I've got money that I can help with.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think your point about growth is, I think it's paramount to what makes this office unique, right? Because it's not just growth in the sense of value and income, it's growth through others who are like-minded in that aspirational sort of growth mentality. Because not only do you get incredible support here from a leadership and staffing standpoint, but just as equally, if not more so, from the other agents, because everybody has a different skill set, comes from a different background, and they're willing to share what they've learned I mean, the number of conversations that I feel privileged to be able to, be in this hallway, because the conversations I hear with people transferring information back and forth to one another,
it's amazing.
Completely, opposite ends of the building spectrum, commercial versus residential. It's amazing. Right. And that I don't think, because I walked in at 13 other brokerages and I walked in and you know what I heard in those brokerages? Silence. And to me, silence meant no communication, which means no growth. And here it is abound, unlike anywhere else. And that's a hard thing to create. It's a hard thing to sustain, but for doing it for 20 years, it's impressive.
Yeah. I don't want to take all the time about looking back. I want to see what you're thinking. What do you think the opportunities for agents in 2026 will be?
The opportunities for growth in a market that is also growing.
Yeah.
I believe that inventory, in our business, inventory controls all markets, regardless of demand. Demand is low, even it's never zero. Right. And whatever it is, they look towards, if there's a buyer out there, they look towards inventory. I had this conversation with a mentor back in the beginning of the financial crisis, and I said, we are in the throes of a heavy, heavy buyer's market. Buyers are at a premium. We need buyers. And his advice was, no, you don't need buyers. You need sellers that are willing to sell at a price that reflects the market that will produce a line of buyers to buy that property. Those are the listings you need. And we had this conversation a little deeper, and he said, what's selling right now? I said, well, we chose a style of house. We said at an entry level, if a brand new split level home that used to sell in the early 80s for $55,000 was listed for $200,000. Think of this, 200. Now it would be $500,000 or $550,000. For 200, those would sell. He said, well, go find those. And you know what? We worked on that. We worked on acquiring land. I had a builder that I was working with, and that was the product that we put out. And we never got out of the ground without it being sold right away. So where I'm going with this, where's the opportunity? The opportunity is there's going to be more properties listed this year coming up. There were more properties in 2025 listed than 2024, and more in 2024 than 2023. We're growing into a more normal market. The question comes down to this. Someone will get those listings.
Yeah.
Who are those people? Now we will get our market share amount of listings, but if you're saying, you know what, I would like more listings, or I haven't listed anything at all. I don't know. Maybe in time the listings will come my way. I should focus on buyers first. Au contraire. Because inventory is where it's at. I didn't enter the business that way. I knew that if I had listings, buyers would come. If I had listings that, let me qualify, that were priced properly and presented properly. If I could get a property in good condition that was accessible to be shown, priced into the market, and I did all the things to expose it properly, I would get a sale.
Yeah.
So I would say, you really want to grow in 2026, focus on listings.
Yes.
Go to training that will give you listing skills that you may need to polish up or learn, and then learn a little, do a little. What are the things that will get you listing? My very first year in the business, I did the things that I knew would potentially lead to listings. I would do open houses because I knew there might be sellers walking in that would have a house to sell. I would knock on doors in neighborhoods to say that we just sold a house around the corner. Are you interested in selling?
Yes.
Now those conversations, you go, well, I'd rather knit a blanket than knock on doors, but I'm going to do it because it will
This is what I
bring the
want.
business.
Absolutely. So, what do you think the biggest challenge in 2026 is for agents? What do you think that's going to be?
Failure to reach their full potential.
Tell me
Or
more.
failure to recognize what their full potential is. Because you might always say, well, I'm getting farther along, and your potential grows because you grow to a certain point. You go, wow, I feel like I can get even better. Wow, I feel like people put ceilings on their growth, and they think, okay, I've grown enough. This is as far as I can go. How do you know?
Good question.
So where's the challenge? The challenge is to focus on what is it that you want out of life and why. Not what is it that I want out of my real estate practice.
Yes.
That's sort of back end too. Is what do I want out of life and why do I want it? Try to envision a life that's a little bit more perfect for yourself. What does that look like? And then reverse engineer it down to the business and say, what does my business have to look like to give me this reason
The outcome.
for why? Because if you can track it backwards and you've got a strong enough why, all of this in the middle from where you are and where you want to be is how. You'll figure the how out.
You need to know what it is.
And then, listen, I know you consult with so many of our agents, and I do, but not to the level you do. But the point is get in front of somebody who can help you business plan, and then eventually hire a coach. Now we have an internal productivity coach. We also, one of the great things about our company is we have a coaching company attached to it.
Yes.
MAPS Coaching. I don't know another real estate company that has this. And it's a good way to, nothing of any consequence really changed for me in my business until I hired a MAPS coach.
Yes.
I am the converted.
Well, I was actually my next question, and you kind of started that, but I'd like you to grow it, is how can we as a market center help our agents with those opportunities and those struggles next year?
Well, life is a struggle. The sheer definition of life is that we're all born with a termination date, right? None of us know exactly where it is. Some are faster than others. and life is continually, there's ebb and flow. You never reach a point where you go, all right, I'm finally here. I got nothing to worry about for the rest of my life now.
Top of the mountain. Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, it really comes down to this. That is a moment in time.
Yes.
And things are constantly shifting for good and for not so good. There's always a challenge. So I look at what can we do, or what can we make available?
Yes.
The lines of communication, so that
Yes.
people can say, here's where I'm at. What do I need to do to get to the next step? Now there's a difference between training, consulting, and coaching.
Yes.
You hire a trainer. They come in, they deliver the product, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here it is. Here's what you do. Or if you have a physical trainer, they've got your workout all scheduled for you based on what you said you wanted to do. They've got your workout. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't say, here's your workout. Now I want to know, how do you feel about these exercises?
Right.
Right? They sort of say, here it is. Just do this.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's training.
Mm-hmm.
Now, consulting is look, based on all of the things that you want to do and based on where you're at right now, there's going to be, our recommendation is you do this, you eat less, and you exercise instead of Tuesdays and Thursdays, you exercise Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. In other words, they're giving you the prescription.
Mm-hmm.
They're not collaborating.
Overseeing you.
They're just saying, yep. So it's a little more than training.
Mm-hmm.
It's consultation. Coaching is this. It's bringing out the best in somebody by saying, look, we're going to work on this together, but you have to have 100% buy-in, not 50, and I bring 50. I'm going to bring my 100%, you bring your 100%. Are we committed?
Yes.
All right, why do you want to, you
Right.
get to the point you're digging deep into the
Yes.
coaching process. to
And being
say,
held accountable.
I know you can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you will do the following things.
Yes.
And only you can do that, right?
Yes.
So coaching's a little bit more, and we provide all three of those things.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's what I'm excited. And I think the opportunity for our agents to plug into those different things, I think so many times we get stuck on the training. And that's great. Yet the training is just scratching the surface of what you can become if you plug into the consultation and the coaching. And I think this year, you kind of alluded to it, but we're starting a brand new agent training. And I'm really excited, along with our coaching program for our more experienced agents. And I think the combination of the training, the consulting, and the coaching at every level, I'm excited to see what we'll be talking about next year at this time.
Well, me too. And it really comes down to engaging in the business.
Yes.
Those that are engaged are far more productive.
Yes.
So I would say re-engage if you feel like you could engage more or haven't engaged in a while. Re-engage. And even if you feel like your business is just kind of trudging along, you go, I'm doing what I always do. I'm getting what I always get, or I'm getting a little less than I always get. What can I... All it takes is a little bit of a mindset shift, which, by the way, you can get by coming to Morning Mindset every morning, 5 days a week. Just
Right.
And that's a growing community. There's
I
more and
love it.
more people pulling into Morning Mindset in the morning, regardless of how they look, regardless of how many cups of coffee, if any, they've had. They're there, and I think we're changing businesses there.
I
first thing in
agree.
the morning.
I agree. Well, thank you, Bill. Thank you for everything you do for this market center. Thank you for starting it almost 21 years
right.
ago, right?
Well, there was strong partnership there,
Yes.
and I like what I do, and so that I hope shows.
Well, I just asked you that the other day. You're like, I like what I do here.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it has meaning.
It does.
And watching people grow is kind of what I know the broker that hired me 42 years ago got out of building his business.
Yes.
And it was being able to help people realize their potential.
Yeah.
And I'm on that path, but I'm not there.
Yeah. Well, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Any last things, Andrew? Because I think you gave a really good recap of this whole year.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've just enjoyed hearing the stories from everybody because, again, this podcast was born out of, as a new agent coming into it, not having the kind of resources to get an understanding of what it's really like to work in this field, right? There's plenty of people who are out there who are on a retention or an acquisition warpath for more agents to their brokerage or whatever. So they're speaking about a lot of stuff, but they're not talking about like the nitty gritty, like what got them here, what was hard about it, the unfiltered version of real estate, not selling sunset, not $1 million, listings, whatever. And by, I think we've had, 25, 30 agents in at this point
30,
now.
yeah.
Just seeing that the through line between all of them is just the PCC of persistence, consistency, and courtesy and mindset. It's just everybody who has been in this and had some success with it, either in a short term or a long term period, they all in one way or another come back to mindset, and I think that is so fundamentally important for people to understand who are even thinking about getting into this, is that you have to come into it, like you said, Bill, right? Knowing like what you want your life to look like, what the why is, and how can this fund that lifestyle, and then just learning how to get there. And that's
Well, and
key.
I think hearing all these stories and observing all these stories as well, so many times we don't know what we want. We don't come in, walk in, and most people, we say, why you got into real estate? I like real estate.
Yeah.
I fell into my lap. Somebody said I'd be good at it. It wasn't, I want this huge life. I want to build this team, right?
Right.
We don't start that way. You have to put yourself right next to those who can lead you there. And these stories are amazing. It was human beings that helped them with their grit and determination and not quitting to get to where they are. And that's what I love about hearing these stories, because it's never one person. Not one of us, not
Not
yours.
if we're being really honest.
Yeah.
Well, I know that I'm not here because of myself. Did I have to stick it out and do the work and show up? And what I think was the most important thing I did is went to the people that I knew could help me grow to the next level. And that's what I've said from the beginning. People say, why are you still at Keller Williams after 16 years? Like, you could do this, even clients say, why didn't you get your own brokerage? You could get. When I came to the people that I knew I could trust here, and I came with a problem, that I didn't even know where that problem was or my growth, and they said, this is where I see you, and I did it, and it worked, and it grew my business, that's worth everything to me.
What more can you ask for?
Right?
Yeah.
Myself, I could not see a bigger world. I came in for 1 to 2 deals to get out of the house. That's really what I came
I remember.
Yeah, that is what I came for. If I was not around growth-minded people, I'd probably be doing 1 or 2 deals. Maybe I'd do probably 5 or 6, because I like talking to people. But right, like, the people around you matter the most. And who you align yourself with and who determines who you become. I really do believe that. So thanks for being a part of this, Bill, and being
Thanks
a part
for
of all of
having me.
our story. And
Of course.
I don't think we're going to take too much of a break, because we're going to be still inviting people on and
Too many
having
people-
guests.
We'll be-
Too many people to share their
Yes.
ideas.
Yeah.
But we will be taking a break from airing anything probably until the new year. So I'm excited. So thank you for being our last show.
Yeah. Thanks for wrapping it up for us.
Appreciate it. I feel like a bookend.
Yeah. Well, if that's what you need to be called, that works.
Bill the bookend. All right.
Well, and thanks everybody again for watching this year. And if you're just seeing this episode for the first time, good news. There's 43 other episodes you can go back and watch, share, like, subscribe on YouTube, Spotify. And if you have questions for us that you'd like for us to talk about in future episodes, then send them our way. We'll still be working and getting things ready for next year. So with that, we will, I can't believe I'm already saying this, we'll see you next year.
See you
Happy
later.
holiday.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Behind the Sign, Real Stories from Real Estate.
We hope you enjoyed today's conversation and gained a little insight into the world behind those for sale signs.
Today's episode was brought to you by Keller Williams Realty Metropolitan, proudly serving New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and Massachusetts. A special thank you to our agents, leadership, and partners at KW Metro for their continued support.
And thanks to you, our amazing listeners and viewers. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Leave us a review or comment. We love hearing your feedback, and it helps more people discover the show.
And if you have a real estate story you'd like to share or a question you want answered on a future episode, reach out to us at metro.kw.com or find us on Instagram, handle @KWMetroNH.
Until next time, we'll see you
Behind the Sign.